down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy investors? Bang, bang, I'm back. That's right, Steve VanCauwenbergh. You tuned in to the Savvy Podcast, also known as the Savvy Radio Show. In the middle of all kinds of changes in life. Moving on to super duper commercial. That's right, get ready. Got a new podcast coming out January 2023 called Advanced Investor Alliance. It's going to be fire. If you want to go to the next level, tired of single family, amen. You might want to say amen. You tired of the tenants and toilets and all that other jazz? Well, we're going to talk about big things in 2023 and moving forward. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the Savvy Radio Show, what you're listening to today. I'm going to keep it real, probably still keep on single family, probably will always own single family, maybe not. I'm trying to sell them all. Slow and steady wins the race. But, my passion is entrepreneurs. My passion is helping people, educating people, inspiring people, coaching people, mentoring, whatever you want to call it. So we're probably going to keep the Savvy Radio Show on for a little while anyway. But let's dive in. Someone out there needs to hear this. I don't know why. This has been on my radar for a minute. The title is 8 Ways to Stop Self-Sabotaging Your Success. I did not write this. Of course, I'm going to add my own love on this, but the individual that wrote this is Deep. That's right, D-E-P Patel. Deep Patel. So if you want to really get this article, it's a really quick article. It's on entrepreneur.com. It's been sitting in my queue for podcasts for a long time. And I just come across this a lot. You know, I love when people want to, engage with me and for me to encourage them or help them in some form or fashion, AKA coaching. Okay. And mentoring is a little bit different. We can go into that in another episode, I guess. But the reality is, I see this a lot. I see this in my own life, and I try to control, I overeat, let's say, or I talk negatively to myself or the environment around me. And it's just all self-sabotaging. Now, if you know Christ as your Savior, aka, Christianity or belief in Jesus, whatever, it could be the strong man, Satan, kind of holding you down. But how do you overcome self-sabotaging? And sometimes self-sabotaging is like a logical thing. It just makes sense. Or you can't get bank approved and it's never going to work. Or I keep looking for deals and I can't find them. And, there's some people that I've been involved in that, just think that way. They're constantly thinking about the worst case scenario. Now, honestly, I don't see that necessarily completely wrong. And I believe as a CEO, a business owner, you got to operate on that premise. What's the worst thing that could happen? Client fires you, you get sued, and how to mitigate against it. And I think you got to have strategized. But the reality is, I was watching a post in a group that I'm in like basic rookie landlords. I don't know why I'm on that group, but I got in this group somehow. And it randomly served this up, and this guy was like, well, I've talked to the tenant, and they didn't respond, and this and that. And I just wrote one word, or two, actually. Be proactive. You got to be proactive. It's just that simple. I know it's so easy. It's, VanCauwenbergh. Well, how do you become proactive? Well, you're doing that right now by listening to the podcast. Right now, you're being proactive. You obviously have struggled with this in one form or fashion. I hear you, bang, bang. You've said some things wrong. You actually hanging around the wrong people. And so you got to, and one thing that I'm really just studying right now that is really profound, I know this is so simple again, is I've just slowed down and take a deep breath and just started thinking. Just thinking about things. What does it look like when this happens? And then when these thoughts come into your mind, self-sabotaging thoughts, you got to get them out of your mind. And you always got to tell yourself, you can overcome anything. And I love this one point is like, if they can do it, I can do it. Come on. If they can buy a $10 million commercial property, I can buy a $10 million commercial property. If they can get a $20 million finance loan, I can get a $20 million finance loan. Sometimes I think ignorance is great, but the reality is it's truth. If they can do it, you can do it. The first thing that you need to do, number one on the 8, is that you need to understand what self-sabotage is. You're drinking too much. Self-sabotage. Knowing that you have to get up in the morning for something, for a meeting, and you didn't shave. Self-sabotage. Or you tell yourself, I could do it later. Knowing this, that you need to get gas, so you don't want to waste time, and you put it off. You procrastinate. You can't do that. If you want to be successful, you got to be subconsciously aware of what mode you're in. You've got to understand what self-sabotage is. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to go back and think about it. Take some time in the morning, 10 minutes, maybe at night, an hour before you go to bed, whatever. Just think about the day. What were your wins? What were your struggles? How could you have overcome them? But you got to understand what self-sabotage does so you can accomplish it. So 2, recognize your self-sabotaging habits. Man, I could tell you one real fast. I continue to have a sweet after a meal, and I've just caught myself. I want something. Of course, in the holidays, oh man, it makes it even more doubly tough for me because there's cookies on the table. There's little snack attacks. There's a thing called Christmas crack. I don't know if you know about that, or chocolate popcorn, or whatever the case may be, right? You got to recognize, hey man, I gotta stop doing that. And so, of course, I talked about this a while back, but now, you might want to eat a vitamin gummy to satisfy that sweet. But the reality is this is a habit, and you got to break a habit. You got to recognize the habit, and you got to work on it and be prepared for it. Now, you could use some tools. Like I use this tool called Do It Now that reminds me to review my goals. And every morning at 9 a.m., my goals, hey, read your goals, it pops in my face. Because I know for a fact that the more that I read my goals, the more motivation I have, not only just to get them done, but I remind myself, and I can tell you right now, I just did it this last couple of days. I went a couple of weeks without reviewing my goals. I'm focused on one project, trying to get the book published. Be the Bank. Oh, God. It has been a roller coaster of pain, but I want to finish, and that's all I'm focusing on. But am I looking at my long-term goals, my giving goals? What am I doing? Another thing that you need to recognize that it's a common self-sabotage is procrastination. Are you procrastinating in some form or fashion? It's a bad habit. I'll do it later. That's a bad habit. I'll do it tomorrow. That's a bad habit. Or someone's talking to someone the other day, hey, after the holidays, I'm going to work out. No. You can work out right now. I did. You can. What's stopping you? Oh, the weather, it's too cold. That's procrastination. It's a bad habit. Stop it. Change that mentality to do it now. Do it now. Right now. Can I do it right now? I have this thing. I write it down right now because I know my mind will forget. So write it down. Another habit that I've seen is perfectionism. That you can't do it right now because it's not going to be perfect. Man, I used to, years ago, I recognized this self-sabotaging. I wouldn't do something because I wouldn't be good at it. And it breaks my heart. I see it with my son every day. He will not take on any challenge unless he thinks he's going to win at it. And at first I didn't realize, but my wife brought it to my attention. I was like, he's got to learn to fail. And it's okay to be perfect, but it's even better to finish. You could be perfect, and perfect in your mindset, perfectionism, but then you never get nothing done. What's the point? I think, my very first book that I published, The Savvy Landlord, and I cringe if there's typos in there. After I've been published by a national publicist, there's errors in it. I mean, it's 300 and something pages. Hey, you got it done. You're a published author. Come on. So scratch the perfectionism. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. And take action right now. Number 3, identify the root causes. Why do you overeat? Is it long days at the work? Is it stress? Diarrhea? You got to recognize where is this coming from. A lot of it could be, who you associate with. I think it's very critical. Even if you're a minister and you love people, and that the people that you're hanging around, are they uplifting you? Or the people that you want to help, are you eliminating that time? Okay? because you reflect what that self-worth is. I just know this for a fact. I'm really engaged in commercial real estate right now. I'm talking about the next level. I want to hang around people that do $150 million deals, that develop acres and acres of land, right? I know for a fact that they don't dress like I do. No. Uli, Joseph Banks, even this banker I hung out with the other day, I saw a joke, Joseph, $2,000 suits. Now, I'm not saying you should run out and buy a $2,000 suits, but you are a reflection of who you hang out with. If you wear, saggy pants and you trying to get into the $150 million world, come on. You feel me? It's you need to understand where these roots are coming from. And, a lot of my roots identify them from my childhood, being in a single parent family, not understanding certain things about economics and how does it work and financing. So I got to read books on financing. I got to understand accounting. You got to identify where you're coming from so you can correct the course where you're going. Come on, somebody quote me on it. Number 4, let's move on. I mentioned it earlier because it's really big in my world. Number 4 is take time for self-reflection. I can't remember this book that I'm reading, but this book is, and it was like a month ago. It really, and I can't remember. I don't want to say the name, but the reality is, and I do want to say the name, but I just can't remember it, and I don't want to give you false information. But the thing is, it's like take time to think. Like really, like successful people, and I know Brian Tracy and all these books that I've read, they just sit down, read, and just reflect. You really, to avoid any kind of self-sabotage, just think about it. Just take a moment to reflect. Understand where you're coming from. Understand where you're going. Why do these things happen? What different approaches can you take? Self-reflection reveals so much. It's just something. I'm almost 49 years old. I'm just now self-reflecting, just taking the time, because I'm that blue collar guy. Let's get up and grind it out. Let's get up and get it done. Production, pursue production. And then sometimes I just think it's inadequate or not efficient or a waste of time to just sit there and think about it. And I realized thinking, and this is the reality, is because I just and this is all just in my mind right now, is I just got done finishing the Be the Bank book. And I took 3 months off. I grinded out, and then I just was so frustrated with the book. I couldn't read it again. There was a lot of problems. I felt like there was a lot of missing holes. But then when I just took a break and just started thinking about it, thinking about what it could do to help someone if they read it. What would it do to help other investors raise more funds? What would it do for me? What would it do? And I just started thinking about it and thinking about the results, thinking about the process. You got to do it. Number 5. And this book right here, number 5 is fire. It's like find your inner positive voice. Now, there's a lot of negativity. Arctic blast, shooting yesterday, economy's down, interest rates 10%, la-di-da-da-da, okay? Whoopee-woo. You've got to find your internal positive voice. You've got to squelch, I can't do this, I'm a failure, beat it up, stop it right now. That's not true. The game is not over. You're alive, and you can still strive. There's a great book, John Acuff, and it's called Tapes, or you review the tapes over and over, and it's a phenomenal book. John Acuff, Acuff. John, it's like mixtapes or something like that. And what this book is like, what are we telling ourselves over and over and over? I'm listening to the David Coggins book right now. Just even today, after all this dude's success, he just released this book. He still has to deal with this mental battle of his past, of just the carnage of what his father put on him, the abuser, and for him not to be an abuser, and for him to overcome and be positive and just to fight the battle. It's that inner positive voice. Number 5, you've got to find that mess. Find that mess now and just and stoke it and keep it alive. Number 6, to stop self-sabotaging yourself. Stop doing the same boo-boo routine that doesn't work. Change your pattern of behavior. Stop sabotaging yourself every moment. An action creeps up. Mine is like how I respond to people. Sometimes I got to change my behavior, not to raise my voice, to slow down, to take a minute. Change your pattern of your behavior. Consider your actions. Are they leading you? What triggers motivate you? I know for sure my behavior is, it just seems like my wife and I would get in a quarrel roughly around 9 o'clock at night. 9, anything after 9. And I realized that's a bad pattern of behavior. I need to change that. Lickety split. So now my wife and I, great through communication, we've changed that negative behavior pattern. And you got to recognize your own behavior patterns. What are they? Maybe it's a food behavior pattern, and you got to replace it as soon as possible. Another way to overcome self-sabotage is number 7, make small, meaningful changes. I'm telling you, this wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. Micro changes. The first thing that popped up in my mind was it was a new laptop. It's a micro change. It may be a big change for you, but I noticed that I was not efficient with this other laptop. I had this kind of old school laptop, and it wasn't a financial situation. It just met my needs. But one of the things that wouldn't meet was the podcast. And I felt like this last half of the year, this 2022, I was like, man, I need to really ramp up this podcast, and I need to make it efficient and quick and easy, and I can just do it. And this laptop, this Chromebook I had, could not do that. So it was a small change, and it was just through a friend of mine that just pushed me and said, just get the laptop. And that was small little change made a big deal. Another small change could be your running shoes. Another small change could be, I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was struggling running. He got burned out of running. I was like, oh man, I hear you. I hear you on the running. And I said to him, I was like, yo, won't you try running slower? I think we naturally just want to get faster, better, beat somebody else. We compare ourselves to somebody else. But I learned this from a coach one time, just run slower. And I'm talking about real slow. I'm talking about like 15-minute miles. I was like, whoa, it feels like I'm walking. But it worked. It worked. One small, meaningful change, it's got big results. Maybe it's a little bit change of your workout. I'm in that right now. I was grinding out, beating myself up, and then I'm like, what do I like to work in the morning? My family wants to stay up late. I got older kids now. They think it's cool to stay up till 10, 11, maybe midnight. I hear you. I was young too. I don't think it's cool no more. What's cool is for me to go to bed at 9 and wake up at 5 and grind it out. And I'm talking about grinding it out. I'm not talking about working. I'm talking about reading. I'm talking about personal development. That small little change. And sometimes you just got to ask yourself, what's going to benefit me? And so it was hard for a long time. I just struggled staying up late, trying to be all things, all daddy ball. And I just had a conversation with my wife. I was like, look, man, I have these goals. I have these dreams. And one of those goals is to write a class. One of these goals is to finish this book. One of these goals is to do this. And I noticed that I made a little tweak in my schedule. I went to bed a little bit early, got up, went to the gym, worked out at the gym, more efficient at work. I actually got more done by noon than I would if I would have just strolled in to work and worked the same amount of time. It's amazing. Just make small changes, and you'll be surprised what you can do. All right, it's my fave right here. And I was just texting my homeboy, Octavius, what's his goals for the year. And I think it's a conversation. I think goals tend to be taboo, like about money, talking about sex, talking about politics, whatever. First of all, you like sex, so don't even try to deny it. Maybe not. I don't know. But, I'm not saying you should be talking about it in front of your children, but the reality is you should be talking to your wife about it or your husband, whatever. But I know, how did I get on that subject? Oh, shoot me. This is the Savvy Radio Show. We tell the truth up in this mother. No, number 8, set goals and make plans. Oh, yeah, that was my other one. But set goals. I was talking to my homie. He gave me 6 goals. It just inspired me. Just listening to his goals inspires me. Yes, I got my goals coming up. I got them finished. I'm about to do another podcast. I'm not sure next week or whatever, but I will. Text me if I don't get them out there. But setting goals, I think the other thing on number 8 to stop self-sabotage is making plans. Like I just realized, at 49 years old, man, I kind of like making plans. Like I'm running this marathon. I got to it's the planning process, I got to get to the airport. Oh, Uber, what hotel that's close, making plans. You can't be negative when you're doing something positive, like booking a trip somewhere and, set those goals. I love my homie's goal. He said a trip to Africa. I don't even know what's he going to do in Africa. It don't matter. He's got a trip to Africa. What's your trip? What's your goals? Write them down. Tell somebody about your goals. Find someone to be a little accountability. If you have accountability in your life, the people that you hang around, I'm telling you, you will stop this self-sabotaging. So hopefully this helps you. Hopefully you stay motivated. 8 ways to stop self-sabotaging. Mad love to Deep Patel for actually kind of starting this podcast. I mean, this article, I didn't use any of his material. I just used his headers, his outline, but let's just go through it again. Number 1, understand what self-sabotage is. You might not even know that it's hurting you. Number 2, recognize self-sabotaging habits, like those sweets after dinner. Number 3, identify your root causes, stress, your background, that person in your life, feelings. Come on. Number 4, take time for self-reflection. I've been beating that up all day. Do it. Take time. Start off with 5 minutes, whatever it is. Number 5, find your inner positive voice. Let that beast out. Number 6, change your pattern of behavior. Used to do it that way. Take another route. And this is something interesting I see right now in the economy. A lot of investors crying, I can't change your approach. Direct mail may not work this week. Maybe make calls. Maybe just be friendly with somebody. I don't know. Figure it out. Number 7, make small, meaningful changes. You can do it. One change can make a huge impact in your life. And number 8, my fave, set goals like daily and review them and make some plans for those goals. Like that's my favorite thing. Hey, my homeboy, my goal, you can write down, hey, my goal is to go to Africa. Hey, yeah, I hear you. But let's start making plans. What's the budget? What airline? Maybe I need to get another credit card with points on it so I can get towards those international flights. Start making a plan. What am I going to wear there? What's the weather going to be like in Africa on this time? Hot. It's hot. My homeboy's in Detroit. It's cold. All right. Start making plans towards it. Can I convince my family to support me? Maybe I could turn it into a mission project. I don't know. Figure it out. You got this. This is your friend, Steve VanCauwenbergh. Hey, you want to connect with me? I want to connect with you. We can be friends. It's that simple. Go to savvyinvestors.com. and hit me with a message. You could text me on there. We can communicate. We could be friends. But hey, it's 2023. It's right around the corner. What's your goals? My goal is to buy some assets. Hopefully that's your goal too. Go out there and buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter @LandlordBook and always be buying assets.